Welcome to the Refuge podcast. We are your real estate refuge. This is Danny Gould. We've got Keith Anderson, Austin Zaback, Isaac Guzman, and we are the Refuge leaders. Keith, what is the Refuge, man? Let's just start there.
I'm so fired up and pumped about launching this and being a part of this with you guys because I feel like there's an absolute need in our space for the real estate team leaders that are the grinders of our industry, right? They put in all the work, all the time, all the energy. They go to bat serving other people. And we wanted to build a place that was essentially a sanctuary for them to come and rub shoulders and connect with other team leaders that are doing life in the exact same way. And so we came up with the concept Refuge because that's exactly what this is. It's a place for team leaders to shelter their burdens, I guess, if you will, over a course of time, right? Because as a team leader, we have them and many of them, and we don't really have people to go and talk to. We don't have a place to really discuss the big issues, the issues that affect people's lives and jobs and the industry as a whole. And this is our place to do that, right? This is our place to refresh, to reconnect with other people, to recharge our batteries, to reset our business, to redesign things. Everything we're going to do is focused on growing and building and sharing in a safe place where we can actually talk about the real issues instead of putting up those masks and those shields to protect our image or our perception. But here, we can't hide anything from anybody. We all know the struggles that we all go through. And I think Refuge is that place where team leaders can finally feel safe talking about issues that actually matter.
Yeah, and actually something that comes to mind too is people don't have a place, and you said it right now, is what I feel is people really don't have a safe place, because when there are other kind of groups out there and everything, but it almost feels like a measuring contest, right? Every person gets other, well, I'm this and this and that, right? And everyone feels to a certain degree like they're competing against the other person in that group, right? And so I like the refocus, refresh, recharge, a collaborative environment, and that's what that group means to me. Isaac, you've had you've obviously been in the industry for a long time. What is the significance of a real estate refuge in comparison to other groups out there?
It's funny. I need this. That's the first thing I recognized when Keith started talking about Austin. You guys all started bringing this up. I was like, I need this. And so for anybody watching this who doesn't really know my background, I spent a lot of 2020, 2021, and 2022 on stages, a lot of coaching, a lot of masterminds, a lot of, forums and stuff like that. And those are great, and they're a great place. But what I realize is when you spend a lot of time on stages and doing that kind of stuff, you have to flex. You have to present who the best version of you are. The 1 month you had it right, that's all you talk about, right? Because you have a reason to be there. That's what people are there for. It's not like you're faking or lying or anything like that, but you do have to kind of put away the problems that you have. And then you get back to your office and you're like, I kind of feel like maybe, I should be doing better in here. Everyone on stage, when I was on stage, they thought I was amazing. I get back and then there's these real problems inside the business, right? And it's not to say anything was false on stage, but it is to say you have to hide that. You kind of have to put that away for the time being. You land back in San Diego for me, and it's all right, back to the reality, right? And I see that a lot. And by the way, I'm not the only person that feels that way. Immediately, all of you guys shook your head too, because you're like, yep, been there, right? And so I need a place to not have to flex all the time, to be the real authentic team lead, right? Especially launching a new team and doing all this stuff. You run into some issues. Now, the other thing I will say, what I also know that we haven't spoken of though, but I know because of our conversations leading up to the Refuge and all this stuff, is safety without tension has zero growth, right? So although this is a safe place, what I know I can count on you guys for is you're also going to not just let me float about and not call me to action. Hey, Isaac, you said you were going to work on this, but you didn't do it, right? There's a certain amount of tension when you go to the gym. If all you did was lift, the bar and never put any additional tension on there, yeah, you're really safe, but there's no growth behind that. Right. And at the same time, if you go load up 750 pounds, maybe Danny could squat that, but I definitely can't. I'm always going to take shots at how fit Danny is. Just, a thing of mine. Maybe he could squat that. I can't. And so there's no safety there. It's all tension. And so what I really love about this group already and leading into this and what we've committed to as a group is not just having the safety, but also having the tension and having that right balance, because that's where growth is. And so I think a lot of times, to answer your question in a very direct way, Danny, most other groups that I've been part of, or the masterminds, it's all tension, no safety. Or what a lot of people are pushing right now is all safety, no tension, right? And so I think there's a really good balance here in the Refuge.
I love that analogy. And speaking of, safety and kind of like allowing ourselves to peel out that mask, Austin, you have a massive following on social media. And I think now, especially in 2024, there's the Instagram version of everyone's lives. And I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably can speak to this more than anyone, right? Because you've got a massive social media following. The amount, the difference in what people put online a lot of the times and what is actually behind the curtain, two very different things. And so are you seeing that right now? And are you seeing a shift away from that? And how will the Refuge solve for that?
Yeah. Phenomenal point, Danny. Look, I've been on online for over a decade, right? And I've posted 2 or 3 pieces of content every single day, 7 days a week for over 10 years. I posted somewhere in the neighborhood probably of, 7 to 10,000 pieces of content, right? And you're totally right. There's kind of different eras in the social media world, right? There was the era of look at my Lambo, right? And look at my stuff, but there was no authenticity at all, right? And then there was kind of an era of minimalism and almost bragging about living below your means but still there wasn't a ton of authenticity. And I think overall social media, I believe, is going in a more authentic direction, but it's still super inauthentic with a lot of people, right? And the Refuge, the way that I see it, is a place where you can get the truth, right? It's hey, because you don't want to be mirroring or matching or trying to emulate somebody that doesn't even have what you want, right? And so you have to be really careful, I think, as a team leader, in the retail real estate world, with the industry always changing and things always changing, that, running a large retail team and doing real estate at a high level is hard work, right? It takes a lot of work and a lot of calculated, thought and risk and everything like that. And I believe that, my mentors always told me when I was a kid, right, growing up and trying to become an entrepreneur, they said, Austin, anything in life that you want, you just have to find people that have what it is that you want, and just do what they do, say what they say, right? Walk like they walk, talk like they talk, right? But the only way that you can do that is if you know for sure that they have what you want, right? Good. And you're not going to get that on social media a lot of the time. You're going to get it in a community, right? In a Refuge, right? You're going to get it in our community for sure, because we're going to bring the truth right to the table and say, hey, this is what's really working, right? This is what's not working. Here's how we're doing it. And we're able to speak authentically because, again, collaboration over competition, right? And we really believe that. So I'm excited about the Refuge, and I'm excited about all the value that I think we can all get, including me, including Keith, including you, Danny, and Isaac, obviously. This isn't just, this is for everybody, right? So yeah, great question, Danny.
Yeah, man. And I think that's a really amazing point. You have to know that the person that you're emulating actually has what you want. And you're never going to get that on social media. I could not agree more. And it's a really interesting point, and I think the same could be said for, especially in real estate, right? You perhaps you're in a marketplace and you've got a couple competitors and you see them posting online all of this success and yada, 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 but you don't really know Like, we don't know what the P&L looks like. I'll tell you that much.
Dude, you know how many people in retail real estate do $200 million a year and they don't make any money?
A lot.
Like, they actually lose money. Let's not talk about make money.
Yeah.
The question is, how much money did they lose that year?
Yep.
For real.
So yeah, on paper, right, on the leaderboard, sure, they're doing 200 million, 300 million. They're killing it, right? They're murdering the game, But behind that curtain, to Keith's point, I bet you. I mean, I don't know the statistic, but there's a large majority of people who look like they're killing it in the retail real estate world who aren't making any money, and to Keith's point, who are probably losing money, and we're emulating them, right?
Yep.
We're emulating them. We're doing what they do to chase after the 200 million or the 300 million or whatever that number might be, only to find out that we're not profitable, right? And so you have to be really careful, Danny, and I believe that that's something that we're going to be able to do in the Refuge is to really collaborate as a community, as a collective, as a whole, and change the industry from the inside out, right? And actually do the things in our business that are profitable. Because look, at the end of the day, sure, we love helping people, right? We love helping the consumer. We love helping people buy and sell real estate. That's what we're phenomenal at. But ultimately, we're not a nonprofit. We're all here to make money, right? We're all here to make a living, to create a good life for our family, for our future family, whatever that might be. And how do we do that, right? We have to come together and mastermind at the highest level authentically and really talk about the real issues and the real things that are going on within our industry.
Yeah, and I would also add to that is, Austin, we get, a big benefit having a real estate company where we have multiple partners that we can go and address things with. But I would say 90% of the real estate team leader space, they don't have a business partner at the same level as them. So who do you go and talk to? Who do you go and share your problems with? Are you going to pay for a coach and spend $10,000 a month just to complain about things and hopefully get solutions from someone that isn't in your same shoes, right? Like, they're not a real estate team leader. They don't know what you're dealing with. They're looking at it from a different perspective looking in. But the problem is majority of people out there, they don't have anyone to share it to, because the only team leaders they could talk to are in their own marketplace and are their own competition. So by sharing their struggles with their competition, they would have no space to be safe at all. And that's why I'm so excited about this group, because I've had these conversations with other team leaders and they're like, Keith, who do I talk to? Like, I have no one to share this burden with. I can't talk to my spouse. I can't talk to my friends or family because they don't understand the level of entrepreneurship concerns that I have. I can't talk to any type of counselor or someone that's in the space. The only people I could talk to are my direct competition. So how do I grow from that? And that's how you get stuck in this wheel of trying to impress people, because you have no one to actually check you where you're at and help you actually evolve and answer the questions that you're struggling with. And so I'm excited for this group for mainly the reason Isaac was talking about. I need this group. We need this group. We need to be able to socialize with other team leaders and talk about real life issues like, do I hire this extra staff member this week? Like, is this necessary? Or do I have to change my split structure? Am I screwing myself on the back end for my numbers? Should I bring on this lead source? Like, these are all real issues and real problems that we as team leaders, we face every single day. And, it's just a testament to what this group's going to mean to people, because finally they're going to have a place to find refuge and solace in their actual business and life. Like, I'm beyond excited for not only the fact that it's going to help people's business, but it's going to help people's lives. Like, it's going to actually help people walk in their life a little bit better and carry a little less stress than they did the day before, the week before, et cetera.
So I have a question too, because Danny's been shooting the questions, but I'm going to shoot one back at you, Danny. For you, knowing what you've done, where you've been in your business, and kind of how you've ended up here and with this group, talk to me a little bit about what this would have done, and is this something that you would have participated in maybe in 2022 when you and I were coaching together, right? And what would that have meant for you to be part of something like this if it were available at the time?
Oh, absolutely. Well, see, and here's the thing, right? So every step backward, right, is like every change in your life is an opportunity to grow. And in 2022, 2023, I went through a lot of changes in my personal life and my business life. And the groups that I was involved with at the time, you know, I always felt like I was in competition with everyone. And so it was hard for me to be fully transparent. In fact, Isaac, you were my coach at that point. The only person that really knew what was going on was you, right? And like not even my parents, right? Like I only had one confidant, okay, and that was you, bro. And so
that's actually why I asked, because I felt like we weren't in coaching sessions half the time. We were just like me and you just being real with each other about like life.
Yeah,
you know,
100%. And yeah, I mean, like in a lot of ways, it was like, you know, it was therapy, and you know, truthfully, having a group like this would have meant a lot to me, in the sense that like I probably would have been a little bit more comfortable sharing some of the struggles that I was going through. But who knows? At the same time, you have to be, not only does the group have to be like able to provide that for you, but then you also have to be willing to share. And I think that comes through emotional maturity.
You gotta be ready.
And I don't know that I necessarily had that maturity at that point. Now I do, you know, because I'm on the other side of it, and looking back, I'm like, wow, if only I had been able to share, right? If only I had, maybe I wouldn't have gone through some of these things. Maybe I would have been able to save myself, or things would have gone a little bit differently. But hindsight's 2020, right? And my hope is that by sharing that, there are, you know, people that inevitably join Refuge who maybe would not have felt compelled to really open up to the group, to really open up to, you know, the four of us, and instead, you know, really open up the kimono so that we can give you the best advice, so that the group can give you the best advice moving forward. Because really, you know, a therapist can only, or, you know, for lack of a better word, can only work with the information that they're given. And so if you're not fully transparent, and a coach by that same token, right? Like a coach, whatever, mentor, they can only operate under the information that they've been given. And so, now a great mentor or a great confidant can read between the lines, but that takes a little bit of time, right? So yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that question, man, because it's definitely a relevant one, and you know, coming back to this, you know, idea or this concept of not really knowing what people are going through, kind of like, are they profitable? Are they not profitable? Are they, you know, like what's behind the kimono sort of thing? I'm wondering, Keith, because you, Austin, together now, have joined forces, number one team in all of Arizona. That's amazing, right? And so I'm sure that you've gone through some of those struggles yourself, right? So where you've struggled with profitability. We all go through it because there's different phases of growing teams, and in this like team building process, you know, you're kind of in that messy middle, right? Like, dude, I was stuck there for way too long. Okay. Way too long. And so I'm wondering, you know, what were some of the challenges that you kind of came across? And then how did you overcome those challenges as you built and scaled the number one team in Arizona?
Yeah. I mean, right off the bat, the messy middle for the most part is the entire real estate team leader career. So like the hard part, like people don't understand, is they expect it to be a middle, but it's really the whole thing. So if you're not really careful, it's like the beginning, the middle, the end. Yeah. Where's the end? Where's the end? Right? Like it's still messy. What am I doing? Like, why did I keep growing this thing? And like, those are real questions that I'm excited to be able to tackle and build in the Refuge. Right. And so, I think what's cool about it is once as a team leader, you get through multiple plateaus, you realize the struggles people have in the moments that they're having them. And that's like where we can be the biggest influence. So, Austin and I now run a massively large team, and like full transparency on what we're looking at. We're like back and forth between 1 and the 2 spot nonstop in our marketplace, like being fully transparent. Like we're pushing to be number 1, and there's some weeks and some months we are, and other months that we're not, and we get beat. But there's really, and I think that's a big goal for us, is to continue to push that envelope and be better. We now have 140 agents that work for us and growing every single day. Our target is to hit 1,000 transactions this year. But we'll probably land somewhere between 750 and 850, right? Like that's the real life situation of like what happens in a marketplace when things shift. And that's a big part about this group as well, is like, we're going to push this stuff on social media, but this is a safe place for people to come and talk to us about what are our actual struggles that we're running through, right? And so what's hard about running a real estate team is that at every threshold level of growth, you have to hire more staff and add more expenses to satisfy what that next level of running that real estate team is. And there's like 5 or 6 different agent count plateaus that you hit along the way. And culture shifts and things change and split structures have to change and staffing and org charts have to change. And so what's cool about this is, you know, Austin and I, we've been through all of them now. And like we even went through a massive merger, which is something that it's the biggest real estate team merger in the history of real estate teams. Like there's been no other real estate team that 2 big teams that have come together in a full roll-up brand merger like ours. And so we've been through that journey also, which is just incredible. And so I'm excited because I feel like we have so much that we can give and share about those struggles and those plateaus of, we know when team leaders hit that plateau on agent counts and they're like, Keith, like I can't get through this spot. Like I'm stuck. We're not making any money. I don't know why this is continuing to happen. And the funny part is Austin and I have already banged our heads against the wall in that plateau. And we tried the 6 options that don't work. We finally found number 7 that did for the time being. And we pushed through and we got to the next side. And so that's what I'm excited about, is like, it's all different depending on the level that you're at. But most of the time it's an expense versus revenue conversation, when to hire, when not to hire, when to pay for that next level expense and when not to. And it happens over and over again in the process of actually growing your team. And a big part of that is also, should you grow a team? Like, should you make the team as big as you think that you want to, right? Like Isaac touched on it earlier. We have these teams that are huge and they're putting up these big numbers, but are they actually making any money? And is that the lifestyle you actually want? In this group, we'll be able to show you like, this is how it was when we were here. This is how it was when we were here. Do you actually want to be this box? Like, is this your goal? Is this the vision for your life? Or would you rather structure it a little different with good actual knowledge of what that life looks like at that stage of your real estate team? So we've done it. We've built this massive company and organization. We know how to get here. The question that we're going to be able to help people with is, should you get here? And if you do get here, what route should you take to have the least friction in your life and in your business to get to this spot?
So, and this is a question really for the group. And this is just one kind of thought that comes into my head. All right, I'm a team leader in wherever, right? Let's say Minnesota. And because I have a lot of great friends in Minnesota. And, you know, like, hey, you know what, Keith, like I see your team size and everything. And like, that doesn't really speak to me. I want to keep it more of like a, you know, like a 5 to 15 family style feeling, you know, team. And so I really don't feel like joining a mastermind where you're running this massively large organization. Like how are you going to be able to teach me how to run a medium-sized family style team? Right. And Isaac, being the former sales director of the number 1 team at eXp Realty, how are you going to teach me how to, you know, best operate my small to medium-sized team?
Keith, you want to go? I'll jump in that. So the reality is this: at one point we were there, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And so to Keith's point earlier, hey, dude, I've been there and I could have stopped. I'm going to share with you why I didn't. In addition to that, here's some of the things that I would have done if I didn't want to grow, right? Here's some of the things I wouldn't have done, and I can look around those corners. So that's first off, like, hey, I'm going to give you the inside track on the days, and here's the straight up truth, the days where I wish we would have stayed small to medium. Right?
Yeah.
And then also the reasons why I'm like, I'm pretty grateful we pushed past that, right? But it's not for me to decide where your business is going to go, where you're going to stop. But I definitely have been there. You can't get here if you haven't also been here first, right? And so that's where it becomes really simple to help people understand the value of this, because problems are universal. People are universal. Just because you got 20 agents and I got 120 agents doesn't really make that big a difference. All it means is you have to have systems and that you can scale with. But fundamentally, there's some processes, some systems that you have to implement at all levels, right? No matter how many agents you have, no matter how many transactions you want to have, you're probably going to need a good database. You're going to have the right tech stack. You're going to have the right operations to support the volume that you're doing. You're going to have the right accountability and cultural influences to make sure that people are doing what they say they're going to do and actually having a good time doing it. And I don't know that matters whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, or 220, right? It's just a matter of what does the makeup of the organization look like? Where are expenses going? What are the titles and what does the org chart look like to be able to deliver the exact same thing just to a different level of people? So I get that point. And actually I had somebody kind of have that. He's like, I really want to build a micro team and a really powerful team. And I was like, okay, well, let's talk about what my area of expertise in our business is. And it's having the right tech stack, lead flow, conversion, accountability, support, culture. Name one of those things that doesn't matter to you when you have 10 agents. Name one of those things that doesn't matter to you when you have 40 agents. Yeah, I'll keep going. Up and up and up, they all matter. So I can definitely help you there. The other thing, just a big thing for me is when people say family style, I always question what they mean by that because there's more than one family style of team lead, right? Family style could just be the equivalent of, have you ever had a team leader that says, oh, we just grow organically, which means it's just by accident. Like organic sounds good, but it's actually accidental. It's the same thing with family style. Does that just mean you don't want to help people stay accountable? Does that mean you just want to have your buddies around with zero tension and just a lot of fun and no accountability? Because a lot of times family style means no accountability. Now, if family style means that really we get to know each other and we're in depth with each other, we know each other intimately, each other's families and stuff like that. I like that family style. I could live with that. We always got to be careful around. Danny, I know you weren't actually talking for yourself, but just in hypotheticals, anytime someone says, I want to run a family style business, I'm like, all right, cool. I hope you know what that means. Think about the liquor store owner who's a family style business.
Yeah.
That person and their children work 7 days a week there. Right. Like we pick up a kid for baseball whose family runs a family style business because his dad's working at the shop till 8 o'clock at night. I don't know that you necessarily want a family style business, depending on what you mean when you say family style. So that's just a off topic thing, but it's always important to kind of point out.
And it's funny, Isaac, because what they could mean by family style business is my spouse is my partner and then my kids start working for me. So it could actually be my sister got her license. Like we're all just a family unit over here, you know? So, but to touch further on that point, people aren't realizing that we use tools and systems at scale, right? Like you're just describing. But I can look at someone's business that wants to stay in that 5 to 10 like agent count area or 10 to 20 and say, hey, you're paying for this tool that I use because I'm a team at scale and you should not be paying for it. There's no need for you because you're not trying to become a team of scale. So stop spending money that you don't need to spend on, right? Like there's certain points where a Google Sheet works a lot more effectively than this high-end expensive CRM because you're not trying to scale. Like you're trying to become the most profitable company, not the flashiest one, right? Like at the end of the day, if you're trying to run this 5 to 10 agent team and do well, your goal should be to make the most amount of money possible in that state of viability. So stop buying things that are scalability items. If you're not trying to scale agent growth and agent count, then don't buy those things and expense those things. And so having been through that circle and that circuit of what things happen and merge to, I can put fingers on things that say, hey, stop, like you don't need this. This is not something you need to add to your business. Cut this expense, cut this expense. And what if overnight that team of 5 to 10 agents now just added 20% of profitability on their bottom line because they stopped buying things that they thought they needed because that's what every real estate team has. And it's like, no, you're not every team. Your goal is to be the most profitable 5 to 10 agent count team and stay in that space and kill it. Well, we can help you do that also, right? Like, so that's Because for a lot of people, I have conversations and I tell them, don't grow, stop. Like, you don't want to do what I'm doing. Like, this is not this is not a one road path to running a real estate team. There's many different roads and everybody has different goals and ambitions. And a lot of team leaders don't want what Austin and I currently do. They don't. Yeah. They might say they do. They like, it seems fun. It seems cool. But when I break it down for them, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm just going to sit right here in this place and make this money and keep selling real estate. I don't want to exit the real estate business. I don't want to get away from that place of security, because when you leave and exit selling real estate at scale, you lose all of your security on your own effort creating income for your business and your life.
You get paid less. Yeah.
You get paid less, but you have to do more. So like, that's not for everybody, right? Like, you know, if I stayed in real estate and did sales myself, I'd make more money than I do today. So would Austin. We chose to do this because we wanted a different path that led beyond just real estate itself. Yeah. The ancillary box that we've built, all of the other companies that we've built, like, that was our vision, not just running a real estate team. So the answer, Danny, to those people is like, those are the people that might need this more than anything. Yeah. Because we're their personal roadblock that helps them realize, don't go past, like, danger, don't go past this spot. Like, you're being dumb, like, stop it. And so the only people that can truly tell them that are people that have gone through that path, that actually know what's on the other side. Yep. And somebody else looking in can't.
I think it's important to...
That's powerful.
Yeah, 100%. Dude.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. And I think it's really important, and a step that a lot of team leaders completely skip, is to truly understand what your end goals are, right? Because...
What's your exit strategy? Like, what actually is that exit strategy?
My end goal was #1 team leader in America. And when that's your end goal, you're almost bound to fail, right? Because you're trying to load up 750 pounds when you can only squat 200, right? Or 300, or whatever, right? And so I think it's really important to get clear on that. And then also, to your point, right, Keith, like, everyone, like, right now, like, team leader kind of feels like the sexy thing, right? And then the question that I always ask, you know, my investors, my clients, everything is like, do you want to be sexy or do you want to be rich? And I think right now in real estate, there's a lot of people who are choosing the optics over the profit and
the wealth.
The wealth, exactly. So to your point, and Austin, I'm going to get to you in a second, man, because I know that you've got some things to say here as well. With the vision for this group, right? Because we've talked about profitability a lot. And so I'm curious, you know, what is the vision for this group as it relates to helping the people who are part of it understand profit and help them kind of like navigate through the current complexities of the market? Because I can almost guarantee you that, like, no one is sitting today, June 5th, 2024, that has more profit right now than they did 2 years ago.
Yeah. So first off, the average real estate team leader is making 4% profit or less. Just for a ballpark idea for you guys to understand. Think about that. 4% profit or less.
Really?
It is almost more profitable to run a restaurant, which is the most unprofitable business out there at scale, than it is to run a real estate team. Yep. And it's strictly because people are, they got the shiny toy syndrome in the real estate space. Like, what's the next CRM? What's the next toy? What's the next lead source? What's the next staff I can do? What's the next system I can implement? Every day, team leaders are being sold that this new product is going to help solve their issues and create more transactions. And we're here today to say, hey, most of the time, it's not the product, it's you as a team leader. Doing too much, buying more things, trying to get an edge when you don't need an edge. You just need disciplined work ethic within a certain parameter of what is actually there. And so a big goal for me would be to have our the Refuge mastermind group, like this group of team leaders, to be at a 10% or higher profit margin across the board, which would absolutely be crushing the industry, crushing it. And the hard part is most team leaders won't be truly objective to how much money they're making and how much money they're actually putting in their pocket. And the big one that I know of right off the gates is if you're paying yourself as an owner a distribution or some sort of expense line, guess what? You work a job in your business. So you're paying for a job that you could not like leave or exit. To truly be a real estate team leader or owner in that space, you should be able to leave for 6 months and your business grows.
Yep.
How many team leaders in our marketplace could leave their company and go on a 6-month like sabbatical, come back, and their company is bigger than when they left it and still making money? That's Nobody. The true like vision. No one really, right? Like there's very few people I've talked to that actually have that capability. And even with us, we're right there. I think we're really close to being able to do that at a high level, which it took a long time to get to. And so that's the truth about profitability. And Danny, what you spoke about earlier, right? Like lifting 750 pounds and squatting, right?
Yep.
Well, if you want to be a professional golfer, do you really think it's valuable to lift 750 pounds? Like, is that a good objective goal for you as an individual, as an athlete to like, do you even need to lift 750 pounds ever in your entire life?
Right.
You're a technical like athlete. Like your goal is to be precise. So in all reality, that type of individual should be lifting 200 pounds a lot to where they know their muscles, they know how their body works, they can feel their energy. Whereas an NFL professional running back, guess what? You need to load up that weight and you need to get the strength and the power. Like that's a different box. It's a different animal. That lift now matters to that person. Yeah. What we don't think is that the training and the stuff that we put our body through should be built around where we want to be and who we want to become. And so this group, what's cool about it is as we grow in member count and as we grow in team leader count, what's exciting is that we're going to get people in all walks and all facets of the real estate team space. And so what's going to be cool about it is there's going to be some team leaders that are small and are absolutely killing it. And those team leaders we're going to use to help share their story to the rest of the group as well, so that they can be coached and they can be trained in the correct way. So as this group grows, it's going to be awesome. I think my personal goal is to have 100 plus real estate team leaders and only team leaders that are taking this walk for us to come together and build life, build relationships with, build friendships that will be long lasting and people that we can actually talk to help the business grow.
Yeah. And you know, what's interesting, Keith, and dude, that the 100 plus teams, like when we get there, it's going to be so, imagine the collective IQ of this group right now and how much we bring to the table. Imagine this times 25, right?
Oh my
and
God.
That's what it's
right.
crazy. That's what that's going to be.
It's going to be wild.
It's going to be insane. And one of the things that you didn't touch on that I know that we've talked about before, and one of the things that I've observed recently is that there's a trend, at least that I've observed, where a lot of the new agents that are coming into real estate, like a lot of the newer licensees, a lot of the conversations that I'm having is, hey, I got my license. These are 21, 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds. I just got my license and I'm looking to get into real estate investing, right? And I think about when I got into real estate, I had, you know, at that point in time, like real estate investing was like this like foreign concept to me. And so I'm wondering, Austin, because you have a ton of investing experience, you run, is it the number one? It's one of the top wholesaling companies in the country.
We're in the top. We're in the top 5 in the nation for sure. There's no leaderboard, you know, for wholesalers,
sure.
So it's hard to say. But yeah, we're definitely in the top 5.
And so you've had a ton of experience just on the investment side of residential as well as the retail side. So you could probably speak to this. Like, what's the vision, right? And Isaac, I know that you've got some visions here as well. What's the vision for helping translate some of like that newer energy, right? Because I feel like sometimes team leaders, like, we're so burnt out, we're so tired. We don't have the emotional energy, the bandwidth, whatever, to think about, hey, how am I going to grow my real estate portfolio? Because I'm just trying to make it through this year.
This month.
Thank you. This week. Yeah.
Literally.
This week.
Bro, like we're trying to make it through today, Danny. Like we got 3 fires to put out this afternoon.
Exactly.
You know?
So how do you envision this group, this Refuge mastermind enabling and helping grow, not just real estate leaders, but real estate entrepreneurs, people that have their hands in multiple different facets of real estate.
Yeah. Phenomenal question. I really believe that everybody, if you're an agent, right? So many agents, when we look at the agents in America, right? I would argue that 5% or more of them are a one-trick pony. They know one trick. They got one trick up their sleeve, right? They know how to go on a listing appointment and they know how to represent a buyer, right? And to me, that's just the first step in being a well-rounded real estate entrepreneur. And I think we lack that in the industry. And I hope that within our community, we can encourage everybody, team leaders, and then all of the agents on the teams, to build wealth, right? Like build real indestructible wealth. I'm a huge believer that, when you look at the data, right, 9 out of 10 of every self-made millionaire and billionaire on planet Earth did it through real estate, right? And so, I'm a huge believer in it, and I think that when we look at over a long enough period of time, real estate outperforms the stock market, it outperforms the S&P 500, it outperforms, gold, it outperforms, pretty much everything, right? If we look at it over a long enough period of time. And that's not even taking into consideration the depreciation that you get, the tax write-offs that you get, and all the other things that come along with real estate, right? And I think that team leaders and agents they don't have the slightest clue how to look at a potential investment opportunity from either a long-term rental, a short-term rental, maybe a flip opportunity, whatever that might look and feel like, right? And I think that it's our duty and obligation to come to the Refuge and to share our knowledge, right? And to share our wisdom. Hey, here's what's working. Here's what's not working, right? But the ultimate goal, I believe, for everybody should be to build wealth through real estate. Why would you spend a career selling real estate to other people and never buy anything for yourself? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the average agent, they don't even have a primary. They live in an apartment. They've never even bought or sold a piece of real estate, right? When you look at, especially the younger agents getting into the industry, I have a ton of agents on our team even, right, that we're trying, and now they're slowly but surely starting to flip houses and they're buying rentals. I have a 21-year-old real estate agent on my team that's bought 3 rental properties.
Wow.
In the last 2 years. She's 21.
That's amazing.
She bought 3 rentals in 2 years and a primary, right, at 21 years old. That's what I want to help everybody do, right? Because I see too many people that are 40, 50, 60 years old that are on the hamster wheel of running a team. They're not making any money. They don't have any rentals. They don't own any real estate. They're not, what's the game plan? What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you go to the hospital? What are you going to do when something happens in your family? What are you going to do when life happens and you have nothing to fall back on, right? So we're not perfect, and I'm going to come to the Refuge and share, what I'm really good at and what I'm bad at, right? I'm not here to say that I've got the investing thing all figured out. I definitely don't. I don't own nearly as much property as I even want to, right? So I'm sure there's going to be other people that join the Refuge that'll be able to help me, but it's more than just, it's the knowledge, but it's also, hey, let's collaborate. Who are the best private money lenders, in the game right now? Who are the best hard money lenders in the game? Who are the best DSCR, people in the game that can do DSCR loans, and bank statement loans. And we have to look at, everything from the macro and say, okay, what markets are good for short-term rentals? Are short-term rentals even a good thing right now, right? Do we want to go for long-term rentals? Maybe we don't even want to buy single family. Maybe we want to buy a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex. I mean, we have to come and collaborate within the Refuge and really figure out how we can all collectively build wealth together. Because if there's one thing for certain, there's enough to go around, right? There's 140 million houses in America, okay? And there's enough to go around, right? BlackRock can buy their real estate, and I'm telling you right now, we can buy ours too.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Isaac, I know that you had some thoughts as well on the real estate investment side of things as well. And
yeah, I mean, so one of the things is I don't like houses. I don't necessarily like real estate, right?
Good.
In terms of here's what I mean. It's really obvious. I've interviewed maybe over 2,000 agents at this point, hired about 800, almost 900 agents in my career. And here's what I know. When people go, I go, why do you get into real estate? They go, I really like houses. I'm like, great. You don't own one, right? You definitely don't own multiple, because houses are a nightmare.
They're pain.
They're such a pain in the butt, right? But so is going to the gym. So is eating well, right? And so is having kids, but they're all very fulfilling, and they have their, it's part of your goal. So I see real estate as a vehicle.
Yeah.
And by only doing retail sales, it's like driving a car with only one wheel. Like, why would we do that? Why would we only do retail sales? And like, the story of the people who only do retail sales and never buy any real estate. Their retirement party is one in which you wear all black and you wish your condolences. It's true. That's their retirement party. Name how many real estate agent
I don't laugh. It's so true, dude. It's just...
It's freaking true. And when I realized that in my early 20s, I was like, I can't, right? My first mentor, my first mentor, I was like, oh my goodness, like this person's going to never retire.
Yeah.
Did I get, and here's truthfully, I got scared and was like, I don't think I should be in real estate because I don't want to be working until I'm 87. Right. Yep. Fortunately, I got a mentor who was super open with me about like, hey, dumb, just buy houses. Right. And then it started turning into other things, right? Flipping. I actually did a lot of wholesaling when I first got into real estate. And it's really simple. And here's the argument for anybody that you should learn real estate investing, even if for whatever reason you decided you don't want to own real estate. Okay, totally ridiculous to me, but to each their own.
Yep.
Plenty of people are doing plenty of ridiculous things that I can't understand. So there's one more in the pile. Here's the argument though. We all know this as real estate agents. List to last. We also know this. One size fits all loses to I have options. When Austin shows up to your house and says, hey, here's what we can get if we list the home. Here's what the fees are going to look like. Here's what we're likely going to get. Here's what you're likely going to net. Here's what that timeline is going to look like. But also, have you ever considered this? It's a different number, but you can choose your close date. It's all cash, no realtor fees, blah, 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 no fixing up, no negotiating renovations. And so I don't know which one makes the most sense for you. Immediately, he's going to beat me if all I have is let's take some photos, put it online and do some private showings to try to get this thing sold. And by the way, you're going to pay me this much for having done that.
Yep.
Right. And so immediately you become instantly more valuable in the listing space when you understand that you have at least more than one exit strategy.
Yep.
Right. In addition to that, when you start looking at the reality of this, what do you do all day long as a good, productive real estate agent? You generate business. And here's the truth. You are the genesis of everybody else's paycheck in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Mortgage, title, insurance, escrow, all of those things, you generate their paychecks. There's a reason why the lender always wants to take you out for coffee.
Yeah.
Not because they like you. They probably don't even like you, right? The inspector, why do they want to show up and do lunch and learns? They don't have a passion for teaching. They just want your business. And they understand something fundamental. We are the genesis of their paychecks. And so when you understand that, you go, okay, I control where the money goes. What if I also owned some of that?
Yep.
Right. And that's where Keith's a genius. And I know Austin and Danny, you are too, but that's one of the things where Keith and I were talking. I was like, dude, you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
Because when we realized that, we realized one, real estate's a vehicle to get me somewhere. Right. I own a ranch now. My kids are here. I work from home a lot. Right. I get to like ride quads and play with goats or do whatever it is that my heart desires. And have some fun. Real estate's a vehicle for me to get to here. And you can't just have one wheel spinning retail sales.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think I've spoken enough about my passion for having ancillary businesses and also real estate investing.
Yeah. And I'm excited about that for the Refuge as well, because most team leaders are in one box, maybe two. Yeah. Maybe they've touched on another one. I mean, between Austin and I and our company, we have a dozen ancillary streams of revenue attached to our one real estate dollar, a dozen plus.
Yep.
And our goal is to get it to actually 30 or 40 plus. And we're talking about very soon, probably by the end of this year, our ancillary businesses combined would make more money than our massive real estate company that's one of the biggest in the country. Think about that. And so team leaders aren't looking at it in that same wavelength. And so that's a really cool thing that we're going to be able to share as well with all the team leaders is don't like get into this right now. Like you're already behind the 8 ball here. This is where you want your value to be. Oh, also add this company. Oh, you're not in mortgage yet. You're leaving thousands of dollars on the table. You're not in title yet. You're leaving thousands of dollars on the table every month. And let's change your life and make it a little less stressful where you're not relying on that individual transaction to happen. And when it does happen, you actually get paid 5 different times instead of just paid once. And that's where your business evolves.
And I think,
and that's where you also learn to be okay. So you hear this, the prices of leads are going up. I remember paying $80 for a long form Zillow lead in like 2017.
They're like
$1,000. Had the person's freaking social security number, right? Like I don't know that it had that, but it was almost like taking a 1003 out, right, for a mortgage loan. They were $80 back then.
Yeah.
Dude, good luck in San Diego getting something like that for less than $1,500, right?
Yep.
But if you can sell them a house, you have the mortgage, you have the ancillaries, all that, you can spread that cost across multiple businesses. And now your cost of acquisition per lead and per transaction is spread out across these businesses because they all monetize it. And so that makes it a lot more palatable than, oh my God, like I need to convert, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. I think the message here too is, and this just hearing everyone talk and knowing, Keith, how many businesses, ancillary businesses you have, and Austin, Isaac, how many businesses you're involved in, myself, how many different businesses I have in the real estate space. If you're coming to the Refuge and you just want to be a team leader, it's probably not the right fit, right? Because what we're really looking for is more than just that, right? We're really looking for people that are interested in like being real estate entrepreneurs, right? Keith, like, is that more or less what I'm gathering here? Because
we want to find team leaders that want to be the pinnacle of themselves, whatever that looks like. But it shouldn't just be like, they should not be defined as just a team leader. They should be defined as a real estate leader, in essence, I think is the difference, right? That. They just so happen to have a real estate team on the side. Like that's the way to look at it. And so I'm excited to launch this group with you guys and to build this out because I know the amount of lives this is going to change and how much I wish I had this when I only had a team of 5 or 10.
Yep.
So I had to lift that heavy weight without it, but now I can give back to the team that I wish I was at that time, that I had this resource and I had this availability. Like I wish I had my current day cell number that I could have called and said, hey, Keith, I'm struggling with this. And I could have looked at myself and said, Keith, you're an idiot. Like, just do this and you'll be good. Had I had that, I would have lost so much like pain along the way and struggles. And so we're going to give that lifeline to anyone and everyone that wants to be a part of it with us.
So Keith, how did they apply?
That's a good question. You're going to probably have to have a meeting and reach out to us at the early stage and the early level. Tell us a little bit about your team and what that's going to look like. And then we'll talk about it and see if you're going to be a good fit for growth in the group, and we want to make this super exclusive to the people that are going to take this serious and grow with us. So we're excited. We're going to invest a lot of our time and energy into the people in this group. So we want to make sure that they're a servant-led our servant nature leader and that they're willing to serve others as well as give and be an open book like we are to benefit the group as a whole. And so we're gonna figure that out together and see if you're going to be a good fit for this mastermind as a collective group.
Love it. All the information on how to get a hold of us and start that process will be in the description below. Guys, this has been dude, I'm so excited. I'm like, can we do this every day? Like, does it have to be once a week?
Big topics to come. We're going to tackle some of the biggest questions in the real estate space. We're going to be interviewing other top team leaders in the marketplace and ask how they tackle these issues alongside us, which I'm excited about. We're going to dive deep on questions that everybody has, right? Like people will be finding our videos on YouTube and finding our podcast just to get answers for the problems that they're struggling with in that given moment. So excited about all of these new episodes to come and what we're going to be able to tackle, like heavy questions that no one really wants to answer, that everybody shies away from, specific to the team leader. So I'm pumped.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Let's go.